But let's move into the final topic, and we're going to be talking about the Clippers and if they can win the West in the regular season. And I found an article very interesting, and a guy that I'm very excited to see back writing articles is John Hollinger, guy who used to write for ESPN, then moved to front offices in the NBA, and is now back as a writer for The Athletic. Wrote a piece, and he was previewing the NBA Pacific Division. Mainly the LA Clippers was his starting off point, and he said the view inside the league is the same as from the outside. In a span of 2 years plus, the LA Clippers have transformed themselves into one of the league's top-notch organizations and are now deserving, if slight, favorites in the West this year. By extension, that also makes them the favorites in a newly competitive Pacific Division. That the Clips won the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes owes much favorable geography, but they also positioned themselves to benefit with a series of deft moves over the past 2 seasons. To the immense credit of both the organization and Doc Rivers, they managed to pull this off amidst an organizational restructuring that stripped Rivers of personnel powers without running an elite coach out the door. Now, here's the part that was very interesting to me and which is going to spark the conversation that we're about to have. Despite their offseason bounty, the Clippers may not be a regular season win machine. Paul George, acquired for the high price of first fives Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, will miss the first month or so, and Leonard will likely miss a chunk of the season with assorted DNP rest nights, just like he did in Toronto. And then he goes in and talks about the bench, mainly Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. But the thing that was interesting to me was the part that they might not be a regular season win machine. And he is right. Paul George is banged up with his shoulder injury. Kawhi Leonard obviously wasn't a super active player last year. He only played 60 games, but when he was active, he was super influential to the Raptors winning an NBA Finals. The biggest question, though, I have for you is, do you agree with John Hollinger that they won't be a regular season win machine? And if they're not a regular season win machine, they're probably not going to win the West. So what are your thoughts on that? Can the Clippers win the West? And if they can, how will they do it?
I think that they probably won't win the West. I agree with him. I think the superstar power of this Clippers team really is so dependent on those guys playing, and if they're not able to play, then, their B squad's still very good. That's the upside is, you're coming in with such talent, the sixth man of the year and then like the third in the running for sixth man of the year. So I think the big thing when it comes to the Clippers is trying to figure out what really their focus is. And I don't think it's to win the West in the regular season. I think they can, like you said before, is they can roll into the playoffs and they're going to be fine because that's when the games actually matter. As long as they make the playoffs in the competitive West, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think with that, and we're having some difficulties with the camera, so Ricky's going to be a little bit out of this conversation to start, but we're just trying to get that back fired up. But with that, I think the biggest thing that's going to dictate that is going to be Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's health. Can they be out there for enough games to help them win the regular season? I don't know if it's crucial to their season to win the regular season, and I don't know really what advantage it will give to them outside of home court advantage for some playoff series. If they're second seed, they won't get the home court for the the conference finals if they're going up against the 1 seed. But
unless the 1 seed's the Lakers,
yeah, then there is no home court, right? That would be interesting to see. I mean, because the Clippers can just play Clipper fan. I mean, then it's just really Lakers have 7 games of home court advantage, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I doubt that the Clippers are going to outsell them when it comes to fans in the arena.
They are not.
But I don't know how important it is to really win the regular season because this is a team that has very rarely had playoff success. They haven't gone to an NBA Finals in their franchise history, and they haven't, obviously, if they haven't gone to the finals, they haven't won a final. So I think the biggest thing for them this year is just going to be, can they win the finals this year? And I don't know if the regular season is going to play that large into a factor. So it's really play the guys, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, when they're fully healthy. Obviously, Paul George just won't play the first entire season. Play them
not the first entire season. First month of the season.
First month of the season, thank you. Is going to just be play them against the hard teams that it's going to be difficult to. And you could bench them against like the Suns. Oh, sorry, Suns fans. Or, some of the Eastern Conference.
The Hornets.
Yeah, the Hornets. You don't need to play them against those guys. But, when you're going up against the Nuggets, you do need to play them. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for them is just balancing that. Even through that, though, the question still remains, this is still a decent team. Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Ivica Zubac, Landry Shamet.
Mo Harkless.
Yeah, Mo Harkless. They could possibly make some waves even without these players. Do you think that there's a possibility with all this rest, Ricky, with all this time missed that Paul George is going to have at the beginning of the season, do you think it's possible that they can be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference?
You know what? There's a part of me that says they can, and it's not just because in my predictions I had them as the number 1 seed. But there's a part of me that's saying I don't think they will. And the reason why I am on board where it doesn't matter to the Clippers is, number one, I'm kind of, after we did our predictions, I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Watch the Nuggets just be the regular season Warriors, where it's like, and I don't mean like the Golden State Warriors, I mean like they're just going to win games and prove that
for the regular
we're the
season.
best. Like, not that they're gunning for it, but it's kind of like we're going to be that team to get home court advantage, where the Clippers might be more of like we're a good team, even if they're second, even if they're third. Let's say the Lakers are second, or like the Jazz have a really good year and they're second, where the Clippers aren't going to be in a bad shape if they're the 3 seed. And the thing I even go more so into it is, let's say they're 2 and 3, win the West and go to the NBA Finals. Even if, let's say, the 76ers or the Bucks are the 1 seed on that side and have home court advantage, I would maybe pick the Clippers in a series against either one of those 2 East teams, because both of those 2 East teams don't have experience when it comes to the NBA Finals. The Clippers have Doc Rivers, who does, and then they have Kawhi Leonard, who does. And Paul George has playoff experience. I know he doesn't have finals experience, but I mean, he, to me, paired with Kawhi Leonard, would put them above both the Bucks and the Sixers, where I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks or the Sixers against the Clippers in the finals, I don't want to say choked, but let it slip away to let the Clippers win that finals, even if the first 2 games were in Milwaukee or in Philly. Because, I mean, the Raptors won, and I mean, I know Clay went down and Kevin Durant wasn't playing, but the Warriors had home field, or home court.
I think the one thing, too, is some people might bring up that Nick Nurse didn't have coaching experience in the NBA Finals, but also no one did, at least out of the big teams.
You had
Brett
fucking
Brown did.
Kawhi Leonard, though.
Yeah, well, but no, I'm just saying, like, that they're in a very different situation, than Kawhi Leonard's team was last year, and even the Eastern Conference team was last year, where Brett Brown didn't have playoff, finals coaching experience as well, and they were a very young team out in the East. Budenholzer didn't have NBA Finals experience as a head coach. Nick Nurse didn't either. But now you do have that upper leg where Mike Malone doesn't have that experience, where none of those players have finals experience as well on that team. Maybe there's like some veteran, but I don't think so. Paul Millsap's the guy that I'm thinking of, but he didn't go to the finals. You look at the Lakers as well. They're going up against Frank Vogel, like Jesus Christ. Like they have the coach, the true coach, and LeBron James.
Could be Jason Kidd by that time, let's be honest.
Who also doesn't have NBA Finals experience as an NBA head coach. He does,
but he can
as a player.
spill that drink all over the court.
Yeah.
But I just think that with all of that, they do have an advantage for the playoffs, and that's going to be the most important thing. So I think that they can win the West if they are going full strength and if they're actually trying to win it, because they are probably the most talented and most experienced team in the Western Conference right now.
Watch Lou will this team to the number 1 seed, while the rest of the guys who are injured.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put money on it.
I would doubt it. I mean, I think a lot of people who saw the success last year of this Clippers team, and everyone wants to put that on Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell because of their carry jobs, just offensively. A lot of the unsung shit goes back to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, who was shooting lights out. That's all that guy ever does. He was so huge for them. Like, those are 2 big pieces that they lost out on. So if you're not going to have the star playing who you traded them for, then that's just a net negative for this team. And I think people may be overlooking that. That's why I'm not as, Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell and the rest of the bench unit can carry this team even without Paul and Kawhi out there. I don't buy that.
Yeah, and I think some people might make the argument, too, that, the Spurs have a ton of playoff experience because of Pop. 100%, but I think player-wise, they don't have that, at least when it comes to guys who have
turned everybody over.
Yeah, has gone to finals. I think the only player that I can think of off the top of my head would be Patty Mills. But outside of that, Duncan's gone, Ginobili's gone, Parker's gone. Even some of the other players that were even there that weren't a part of the main core, I think most of them are gone as well. So I would say that when it comes to playoff experience, the Clippers are in the best situation, and that's why I think they can and they have the talent.
James.
Yeah,
but he's one guy, and Danny Green's the other guy.
Rajon Rondo.
Okay, but then we talk about the coach, and again, it goes back to Frank
Quinn
Vogel.
Cook. I'm just saying they have a lot of playoff experience on the Lakers.
But then I
Bradley.
said when it goes to
Avery Bradley.
But then when I says it goes, what was
He was not in the finals, but he was a playoff.
Bradley? Yeah.
Yeah, playoff experience.
Oh, okay.
I was saying finals.
Oh, okay.
But when it goes,
He was one game away.
But when it goes to the,
He
you know,
wasn't. He was on the Tulsa.
when it goes to the coach, like I said, they have Frank Vogel, who hasn't been to a finals as an NBA coach, and then if you want to say Jason Kidd, also hasn't gone to the NBA finals.
Still,
So I'm just
right?
saying they have the
Didn't
best
he go
blend.
as a player though?
Yeah, 2002.
Yeah.
I said that earlier, like 5
Okay.
minutes ago. Thanks for listening.
We've looped.
I'm just saying, as a coach, like Ricky brought that up.
Yeah.
Rivers won a championship. Kawhi obviously has won a championship. They have that perfect blend of coach and player. And
I would
some depth
argue
pieces as
Rondo
well.
and LeBron James are as much coach as player.
Anyways, when it comes to them winning the West, though, I think they have the talent to, is what I want to say, but I don't think they will because of the way that they're going to attack the regular season. How do you think
Also,
they
Dwight Howard. I forgot he had
Yep.
finals experience too.
He does.
The Lakers
Getting
are
swept in-
loaded.
Where's
Swept in
Paul
the finals.
Gasol? We should just mention the Trailblazers then, too.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, my God.
Obviously.
Someone find
Rodney Hood.
Mikal Pietrus. Where's Mikal Pietrus? Peja. Where's Peja? Let's just get the Orlando Magic together.
Turkaloo.
Where's Stan Van?
Turkaloo.
Where's Stan Van's a real good question.
Isn't
Where's
he
Jeff Van?
ESPN?
Let's get to how they should attack the Western Conference this year and how they should attack possibly getting the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
What is their goal this year in the regular season? How should they go about attacking this season, Dave?
Load management. That's their goal. Everybody's healthy come playoff time. That's all that matters for this team. They can drag themselves into the playoffs being seed 1 through 8. It doesn't matter a lick for this team.
So it's a LeBron James situation. Like
Absolutely.
When we were talking about when he
Yes.
was on Cleveland, 1 through 8, and they ended up being 4, and they went to the finals.
Absolutely.
Who can
This is
LeBron
a
James
team-
better, LeBron James or the Clippers?
Kawhi Leonard would be the ultimate mercenary. I'm just saying, like if Kawhi Leonard wins on the Spurs,
Raptors, Clippers.
wins on the Raptors, and wins on the Clippers, oh my God, that man has a fucking legacy that's hard to touch for 99.9% of the NBA. I mean, I'm just saying, it's pretty impressive. But no, I mean, seriously, this team has one job, and that's to get to the playoffs healthy. Like outside of that, it doesn't really matter because they're good enough to make the playoffs. Giving these guys resting days, like the DNPs. I know the schedule for the NBA has changed again. It's funny that we had a back-to-back in the preseason, and the players made such a stink about it during the regular season. The NBA is just like, we're gonna give you the shaft in the preseason. Then like,
None of the
what?
big stars are playing in the
No, they did.
I mean,
but
that's-
they rested, like the Mavs rested Luka
Yeah.
and KP because like, well, here's your first chance to see them. Nah,
Like-
they gave me a back-to-back.
And when
I'm
I
waiting.
say that, I mean with the Clippers, where it's like you look at their ESPN page, they're like, Kawhi Leonard's not playing in this game. So and so's not playing this game. Like it's not like the Bulls versus the Pelicans, where it was like
Full
that's kind of
starter
like a
on starter.
regular season
Oh,
game.
it absolutely was. We thrashed them starter on starter and second unit on second unit.
They got lucky.
No, their third unit's better than Cristiano Felicio.
Yeah,
That's all
good
it
point.
takes. Back on point. Thanks for bringing the Bulls into this topic that was
Homer.
sorely needed. Put that shit on the super fans.
I didn't even talk good about it. I just said it
Nope.
was like a regular season
Nope.
game.
Point being, be healthy. DNP them. Give them each 60 games. They'll be a playoff team. They're going to be scary as hell in the playoffs. They don't really have a home court advantage, like you said earlier when we were joking about the Lakers. Like the Clippers fans, there are some diehard Clipper fans. That's great. You've been amazing to put up with a team that's been through so little success over the years. But the majority of that city is Laker. Like, you can't even convince me that it's like, it's 80-20.
And those Clipper
like
fans
Clipper.
are just Laker fans that don't want to watch the Lakers right now.
Dang.
I'm gonna
I
ignore
joke,
that.
I joke.
I'm gonna ignore that
I
joke.
kid.
I'm gonna ignore that joke. But I think the only way they don't have a actual home court advantage though is
Laker
when
Laker
they play
Clipper.
Laker Clipper. Because we've seen before that when the Clippers have gone to the playoffs, they've had support in the Staples Center.
I mean, support's one thing, but like a true home court advantage in the NBA, like
Who has that though?
the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the Lakers
The
have it.
Thun-
I think
the-
the Boston Celtics have it. I would argue that
The Thunder
I would
had
argue
it.
there's several teams. Yeah,
The Thunder
there
had
are
it.
several
The Heat
teams
probably
where
had it.
being home matters more to them, and the Spurs absolutely. But like, there's so much to it, and I feel like
you
the
could
Clippers
put the Spurs
don't
on a boat and they'd win.
Yeah, didn't they? Wasn't there a game like a college game?
NCAA,
Yeah.
and the aircraft carrier was Michigan State, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Had to be incredibly weird.
It was. That's what the players were saying. But do the Clippers need their own? I know they're talking about building their own stadium. Do they need their own stadium? Let the Lakers have
No.
the Staples Center, and the Clippers get a brand new stadium.
No, Steve Ballmer just would be stretching. the
I'm
ego.
gonna
on
look.
that
It wasn't I think it was Inglewood is where they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw the plan, the
the
mock-up.
forum's there right now. I don't know if they'd move into the forum because I don't think the forum's been used for basketball in a very long time.
Clippers' new Inglewood Arena. If everything goes to according to Ballmer's plan, the Clippers will be playing in a brand new 18.5 seat arena in 2024.
18.5 what?
1,000. 18
Yeah,
and a
the
half.
mock-ups are amazing looking. Don't get me wrong. I would love that. But
It almost looks like looking at the pictures. It reminds me of like what the fucking.
it looks like the Olympics stadium.
That, but kind of what like the Rams are trying to do also, except for the Clipper logo and the fucking roof.
Ah, interesting.
All right. Anyways, getting back to the Clippers actual in 2019, 2020, although that is interesting. What Hollander does predict, and this is what I want to get from you guys, is what your prediction will be. He predicts 53-29, first in the Pacific and second in the Western Conference. Do you think that is...
53 is second in the West?
Yeah.
They are going to cannibalize each other out there is what he thinks. Wow.
He does.
I mean, 53 last year was third and fourth because you had the Warriors at 57 and the Nuggets at 54.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
interesting.
his pick, I don't think has been released yet because he has the team in the Northwest being the Nuggets 52-30, third in the Western Conference, and I don't think his final division preview has been released yet. So going to be interesting to obviously see where he thinks that they, who ends up being number one seed. I think that leaves the Southwest, if I'm remembering my standings correctly. So I'm just trying to think of which team that possibly could be that he has number one in the Western Conference. If it's not the Nuggets, it's not the Clippers.
Houston.
It could be Houston. Yeah. Teams that it could be would be Houston, San Antonio, Memphis, New Orleans, or Dallas, and Houston's probably the one that makes the most logical sense.
He's on my boat. He listened to us when I talked, and he's like, man, this Dave guy.
John Hollinger, who created Purr, is going to listen to you.
Yeah.
That is what he's basing all of this off of.
Johnny
Not all
boy,
the
thanks for listening.
extreme
Appreciate it.
analytics
Boy.
that put him into
Appreciate
an
the listen.
NBA front office.
Thanks for the sub.
Thanks for the sub.
Where do you guys have the Clippers finishing?
I'll go with they'll shoot for second, but either be second or third. I don't totally agree with Dave. I don't think they can be an 8 seed and roll to the finals. I think
Absolutely.
that 2-3 is probably where they'll fall. Like that's where they'll be. They'll be the second or the third in the West.
What did I put for my season predictions?
You put them at 2.
Then I
Because
say
Sean
they're-
put them at 3 and I put them at 1.
Then I'm gonna stick with my season prediction and put them at 2.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my season prediction mainly because I think the Paul George injury is not only going to be difficult to deal with in the first month that he's going to be out, I think it's also going to be hard with him. I don't think he's going to be full strength pretty much coming back from that injury right away. I think when it hits April, he's going to be fine for playoff basketball when it actually matters for them. It's going to be he's going to be fine for the actual playoffs. And I think resting Kawhi.
Didn't Kawhi come out and actually say like he's like fully healthy for the first time in a long time right now?
That's what everyone says.
But no, I mean like
First time, long time.
Yeah, first time, long time. No,
no.
trying to get you there.
I don't think it matters too much that he's saying that though.
Because he had been talking about how it's just a lingering injury and it stuck with him. So the fact that he's had this offseason and he feels confident in his body again, that could mean less DNPs.
But what if he tweaks it like first game? Like, I mean,
Entirely
how much of a lingering injury is it that maybe it just fades away and then immediately once he starts picking up game action, he tweaks it again.
It's entirely possible, but I mean, like at least he's publicly talking about it. It's not like a situation where we're like he thinks he's still hurt, but we won't get any official word because the Spurs organization
And
all
what's
that
his
back
uncle
and forth.
saying?
What's his uncle saying? And then he goes to the Raptors, and it's like, yeah, he publicly was like, yeah, no, there's something fucked up in my leg. Like, got to work on this shit. And took the rest he needed, and then he played hurt through the playoffs, which hell of impressive performance, if you ask me. But no, the fact he's talking about him being fully healthy in the first time, long time, I'm thrilled, and I think that he's going to get in his games. He's going to be a monster in the West. I still think second seed, 2 through 4 is probably most likely though. Mm-hmm. I'll give the wiggle room. If they came out and played every game, then they absolutely could be the one. But what would their condition be like in the playoffs then?
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for the. Or did you talk
Yeah,
about?
he did.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for the Fast Break podcast. We delved into a ton of different,
We explored some new
conversations.
avenues.
Hit up China, hit up the Sixers, and hit up the Clippers.
Also, don't forget to join the Fantasy Basketball League. Link down below in the description. Forgot to. We'll probably, retroing this.
Promo at the start.
We'll probably record a segment to go somewhere in the podcast, so we get that, but I'll mention it here at the end.
All right, cool.
Join the Fantasy Basketball League.
It's always been fun, and I can't wait for you guys to be a part of that as well. So
We'll have a
definitely
live
hit that up
stream for the draft as well.
down below. Yes, and I believe Josh Gordon just broke his leg for the Patriots, so I'm super pumped about that. So
But
we're
Brandon
going to end
Bolden
this
got the
podcast.
touchdown.
That's not what I care about. Pretty sure
Antonio
he broke
Brown's
his leg,
coming back.
and I can't wait. Oh God, you definitely want to end the podcast.
He said he could earn his dollars.
Definitely want to end this
He
podcast
asked the
now.
Patriots to earn his dollars.
Your
Josh
mic's
Gordon gets
off.
hurt. So that means that he's coming
Mic's
back.
off. Thank you for listening to the Fast Break podcast. We appreciate you listening, and that's going to do it. Join us at patreon.com/podcast. We'll see you next
The
week.
return of Antonio Brown.